Welcome home, brave heroes and hunters alike. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and this is Stephen Hand's Fury of Dracula, a game of deduction and gothic horror. This is the game's 5th edition by Avalon Hill and is their latest offering. This video is a lot of things. It's going to be a candid unboxing, a little bit of discussion about Avalon Hill's latest releases. We'll throw in a little bit of Will It HeroQuest just for fun. And we're going to compare this game to the 1st edition, which I have on hand. I do want to disclose per FTC guidelines that this game was sent to me at no cost from Avalon Hill, so thank you very much, Avalon Hill. Let us begin. If you've been living under a rock since 1987, well, I'm sure you could charge money for the simple knowledge of the location of your bug-out spot. But Fury of Dracula is a game whose 1st edition was released by Games Workshop. And indeed, the Avalon Hill version of this game is licensed, because Games Workshop Limited still have the copyright. And we kind of see Avalon Hill settling into this pretty smart role, I would say comfortably, where they take these older games, license them as only they can. It's not exactly true. I'm sure there are many companies that could license them, but they're not. Or maybe there is some sort of tricky exclusionary agreement. Wouldn't that be interesting and juicy? And make them accessible in a new edition to the public, whilst adding their own flavor. Obviously, this isn't the first time they have licensed a Games Workshop property. And it's also not the first time they've licensed a Games Workshop property to create its 5th edition. If I had a nickel for every time they'd done that, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's kind of weird. It's very nice that the box form factor follows the Talisman 5th edition box. They're the exact same size, an anomaly shared by the 1st edition of Fury of Dracula and the earlier edition of Talisman. If I had a nickel for every time Talisman and Fury of Dracula fit in the exact same size box, I'd have 2 nickels. Actually, I might have 3, because didn't Fantasy Flight do Fury of Dracula's 4th edition? And they also did Talisman. I'm pretty sure those boxes are the same size too. Correct me if I'm wrong, I only have these 2 editions of Fury of Dracula. 8 years ago, Mina Harker and her companions ended Dracula's reign of terror. Now their worst fears have been confirmed. The Count has risen once again and casts his evil shadow over Europe. The hunters have reunited to travel the continent and stop the bloodshed. But will any of them make it out alive? In this edition, we finally have Mina Harker as an actual adventurer. I say finally because she was available as a fan-made expansion for the 1st edition of the game. Again, they don't have any of the additions between the 1st and the 5th. Van Helsing makes his obvious return, as does Lord Godalming and Dr. John Seward, with the titular Count returning in all his glory, and Jonathan Harker. Yay, hooray. That's great, I guess. I can't wait for the non-Jonathan Harker expansion that I will buy. It will come with an empty box, and then I can put Jonathan Harker in it and store it on my shelf, and I'll always play with that expansion so that Jonathan Harker can be removed from the game. The best thing that ever happened to John Harker was that he was played by Keanu Reeves, which actually leveled down Keanu Reeves. The first thing we lay eyes upon when we open the box is this beautiful emboss on the map board of Europe. This blood splatter with the D motif. This is a rarity. This was an opportunity that was taken, and it is a treat just to see this. Honestly, the camera's not going to do it justice because it's going to blow out where the light goes on, and it's making the unlit parts too dark, but this is really, really pretty, and I'm so glad that they did that. I say we change this backdrop just a little bit. Our 1st edition had these board puzzle pieces, which were common to Games Workshop games in the late 80s. Talisman had them, Dungeon Quest had them. I know there's a new edition of Drakborgen across the pond. I know this, but man, what I wouldn't give for Avalon Hill to license that and bring that overseas. This is the 1st edition board. This is the 1st edition map. It's quite devoid of color and flavor, but everything you need to play the game is there. We're going to compare that to the newest edition board, which is, it's a diabolical 6-fold, but I dare say it is the easiest 6-fold I've ever seen. 6-fold is not the correct term. It's what I've kind of pulled out of my pocket. Okay, obviously the board is bigger, but we can see the locations on the map are the same. All of our gameplay elements thusly will probably be the same. They are aesthetically presented differently, but are like separations between the different provinces and the making up of the spaces they're in. That's still pretty clear. We still have railways connecting Hamburg, Berlin, Leipzig, Nuremberg, Prague, and so on. Galatz, Constanta, and Varna on the east side of the board. It doesn't look like any locations were added, no locations were taken away. Madrid, Spain is still in the lower left quadrant. Notable additions include spaces for cards or card decks to go around the east and north edges of the board, and one all the way over here by its lonesome. Just above Dublin, gone is the key. In its place, a sun tracker, time tracker of sorts, with numbers from 0 to 13, and then the days of the week sprinkled around the sun. It's not really a rose compass, is it? We've got what looks to be a little moon, or perhaps a spot for a stack of tokens down here by the Fury of Dracula logo, which I have to say, it looks clean, it looks modern, but man, nothing beats this old style, this logo incorporated over artistic picture. But that's not to say I don't like the art direction. I think it looks really nice. I'm very partial to these colors in this color selection. I find it kind of funny, AH are on a bit of a Dracula kick this year, with Talisman Sagas being released, the Crown of Blood expansion for Talisman's 5th edition, bringing in several of the same miniatures that would come with this game, except not the same sculpts, just representing the same characters. This bit of Bordeaux of Blood also extends to non-Dracula games, because they've also released the newest edition of Guillotine, another fan favorite from a bygone era. It's not a former Games Workshop jam though, so just as a little treat, a little bonus, we'll take a look at this a little bit later in the video. Back to the box, the next thing that will catch our eye after the board is out is the 5th edition manual. Avalon Hill recently came out with a pledge attesting that they require all of their creative contributors to not utilize AI, which I think is a fantastic policy to have. And it's really awesome to see the no AI commitment being explicitly stated by the company. I'm fully on board with this. Although, as I will perhaps tiringly share in this video, I do not think that this game was subject to that level of discernment. This is a letter from Mina Harker to her son Quincy, circa 1898, and a letter from Jonathan Harker to his wife Mina in 1898. This sets the stage for our lore. Dearest stubborn Wilhelmina, did you truly presume to think I would let you face his fury alone? If so, you were thoroughly mistaken. Sorry, that's the last of my Jonathan hate, I promise. Quincy is safe, and he is overjoyed to be in the care of my mother until we are home again. Whoa. I must refute your suggestion that we are to perish at the hands of the Count, for I cannot believe that that is the fate God has planned for us. I have yet to witness adequate sunrises with you, or to watch my son grow into his vibrant and intrepid spirit. I require a great many of these simple delights if I am to go to my grave a satisfied man. Until I am thus contented, I will fight for our family. Your doting husband, Jonathan Harker. The purpose of this Learn to Play booklet is to teach new players how to play Fury of Dracula. This booklet includes all the rules players need to begin playing, but omits many rules exceptions and specific card interactions. It is recommended that players read this booklet in its entirety before playing the first game. Fury of Dracula, readdressing those of you who have been under a rock since '87. If so, how are you finding the world in this day and age? What do you think of this YouTube thing? Well, I sure don't like the acting hands. That's because you're an uncultured swine. Fury of Dracula is a one versus many deduction game inspired by Bram Stoker's classic novel Dracula. One player controls Dracula and up to 4 players assume the roles of his hunters. During the game, Dracula will attempt to elude the hunters as he spawns new vampires across Europe, while the hunters try to find and destroy Dracula, thereby ending his reign of terror. We have our contents, we have our setup. We are not setting up the board like this today, but this is more or less how you could play, with the Dracula character predictably taking the side that has all of the decks. No, it makes sense. The object of the game is for the hunters to play as a team and so win or lose the game together. The hunters are searching for Dracula as he travels through Europe in secret. Dracula's objective is to advance the influence track to space 13 by creating new vampires and defeating the hunters. The hunter's objective is to find and defeat Dracula before his influence engulfs Europe. It's played over a series of game rounds, each round consisting of a hunter phase followed by a Dracula phase, and rounds continue until the game ends. Now we are missing the key from the board, so it's important to note that each gold emblem here represents a large city, silver emblems a small city, anchors represent, well, anchors, and dotted lines represent sea zone borders. There are 2 types of locations on the game board, cities and sea zones. Each city has a name and is either a large or small city. Some cities are also ports, and each port is adjacent to a sea zone and has an anchor icon to indicate this. You know, they said anchor, and I wonder if they meant port, because I only see anchors next to cities. Well, never mind. Each hunter phase contains both a day and a night. During the day, hunters can move around Europe and search for Dracula. During the night, hunters can investigate and prepare for the upcoming day. They've all got their activation order numbers, which is a holdover from the first edition, and probably all of the ones that followed. It is day, and the hunters perform actions in turn order, and this is a hunter movement example. Lord Godalming is in Toulouse, and he chooses to move by road. There are several cities adjacent to Toulouse, and he chooses to move to Barcelona. Dr. John Seward is in Marseilles, and he chooses to move by railway. He spends one of his ticket tokens that has a 3/2 on it. He chooses to move to Cologne, which is 3 railways away. Van Helsing is in Genoa, which is a port. He chooses to move by sea, so he moves to the Tyrrhenian Sea. And Mina Harker had moved from the Mediterranean Sea to the Tyrrhenian Sea. From the Mediterranean to the Tyrrhenian during the previous hunter phase. During this day, she must move by sea. She chooses to move to the adjacent port city of Rome. All of the hunters have then a supply action and will draw from the event deck. Event cards are drawn differently during the day and the night. During the day, hunters will take a card from the top of the event deck, and if the top of the event deck has a hunter icon, the hunter will draw the card and place it in their hand. If the top card of the event deck has a Dracula icon, the card is placed face down in the discard pile. So, during the day, Dracula cards simply have no effect. During the night, however, hunters will take a card from the bottom of the event deck, and if it has a hunter icon, the hunter will draw the card and place it in their hand. But if the event card on the bottom of the deck has a Dracula icon, Dracula takes the card and places it into his hand. I mean, I guess you could be a lady, definitely, playing Dracula, or an NB, but you're role-playing as Dracula, so you place it into his hand. After a player draws an event card, they must then check to see if it should be played immediately. There is the rest action, wherein hunters will recover 1 damage. There is the trade action. Hunters can choose another hunter in the same city as them, and they can show each other their item cards and ticket tokens, but not their event cards, and give any of those item cards and tokens to each other. The exchange is private. Dracula doesn't know. Another action, reserve a ticket action. To move by railway, hunters need to reserve tickets. When a hunter performs a ticket action, they take the ticket token from the token pool, looking at it before placing it in their play area, and each hunter can have no more than 2 ticket tokens, as decreed by 1800s European law. There is the search action. Dracula has the ability to hide encounter cards at locations he has visited. Hunters can use the search action to reveal and interact with these cards. This is explained in more detail later. Finally, there is the special action. When hunters perform a special action, they resolve either an effect from a card in their hand or an ability from their character sheet that specifies it can be used as an action. Classic Fury of Dracula has this lovely fold-out rules reference that you can sit up and use to hide your actions as the Count of Darkness, a name that I just made up for our character. Noticeably absent from the first edition of the game, however, is the Trail. So what is the Trail? There's got to be a section in the rulebook that, what is the Trail? The Trail has 6 spaces and represents the locations where Dracula is and has been. Dracula uses the Trail to covertly track his movement and to place encounter cards, which allow him to create vampires and hinder the hunter's attempts to find him. The first space on the Trail corresponds to Dracula's current location, and is also where Dracula places location cards and encounter cards during the Dracula phase. Unless Dracula is revealed, his figure occupies the circle above the first space of the Trail. This is the Trail. Oh, okay, so that little space there, that is actually where Dracula's figurine will go. And that makes sense. I like that. That seems cleaner than the screen method. Each space of the Trail can contain one of Dracula's hideouts. A hideout comprises all cards and tokens on one of the Trail spaces. This is typically a location card with an encounter card. During each Dracula phase, before Dracula chooses a location card, all hideouts on the Trail slide to create space for Dracula's chosen card. Each hideout slides 1 space following the direction of the arrows, which they're going to slide upwards away from his current space, and I imagine once they pass the last space, they are discarded. And we do indeed have examples of this happening. Slide all the hideouts on the Trail 1 space, choose an encounter card from his hand and place it on top of Santander. Dracula will win the game if he can advance the influence track to space 13, and there are a few ways to do this: resolving the Fangs combat card against a mesmerized hunter, maturing a vampire encounter card advances the influence track by a number of spaces specified on the card, defeating a hunter advances the influence track by 2 + 1 for each despair token on the board. There are hand limits, event and item cards, ticket tokens, Dawn and Dusk rules, maturing encounters. We'd like to see what that means. The bottom of some encounter cards have a section that has a matured effect. If a hideout is removed from the trail during the Dracula phase, Dracula may mature any of the encounter cards in that hideout by resolving the text in the matured effect section on those cards. We'll take a look at the cards here shortly. We have rules for finding the trail, ambushing, search actions, revealing Dracula, and combat. We have sections under combat for damage, bitten hunters, fighting Dracula's vampires, and combat examples. And it looks like the combat is going to pretty much closely follow what we know of the first edition. We've got punch, claws, dodge the claws, dodge the punch. We have a few event and encounter tokens, including the Bats token, the Consecrated Ground and Heavenly Host tokens, the Fog token, the Roadblock tokens, and the Storm tokens. The hunter cannot move into a sea zone that contains a Storm token. At the end of a dusk, the Dracula will remove one Storm token from the board. There are also special locations: Castle, Dracula, and hospitals. What now? Now that players have read this Learn to Play booklet, they know all the rules necessary to play their first game of Fury of Dracula. Players should consult the rules reference as questions arise during the game. After playing their first game, players should read the next section, Advanced Rules. There's not a huge amount of pages dedicated to the advanced rules, as there never needs to be, but we have lairs. Instead of maturing a hideout, Dracula may convert a hideout into a lair by placing it on one of 3 lair slots on the side of the board. Power cards, so these are advanced cards. Misdirect, Hide, Dark Call, Wolf Form, Feed, Rumor tokens, which those were in the first edition as well. New for 5th edition, an additional Hunter, the quicker gameplay variant, which allows you to remove some of the cards and components and return them to the box, and then place a Plague token on the Italia and Iberia regions as shown below. Then if somebody's playing as Jonathan Harker, they'll start him on Nantes. That is about it. Oh, is this Lucy? Is this my darling dear Lucy? Dracula errors. Given the accelerated version of the game, when Dracula is caught making an error, the result is much more punishing. If Dracula doesn't want to just concede his location, he may roll back his trail to the error, discarding any illegal hideouts and detached encounter cards. He still suffers 5 damage as normal. I actually really like that there is a rule that is applied if Dracula screws up his movement somehow. Alright, next we have the Fury of Dracula rules reference, and I don't want to go through all of this. It does tell you to stop anyways. We have our wonderful glossary, which contains everything in alphabetical order, so if you are looking for a specific keyword and the rules surrounding that term, you'll find it in here. With respect to the art directors, I have not been convinced at all that the anti-AI pledge was made before the production of this game. That's all I'm going to say about that. And that's it. We've made it to the end where we have the quick reference. We are now ready to look at the tokens and all the other visual delights. I was gonna say feast. We have the reference map here. Why? Why do we have the reference map? This, I believe this looks just like... we're gonna pull out the old components here. I'm looking for the first edition analog. I don't really have one. We have a strategy and movement chart, which I think is what I was thinking about, and this, I believe, is replaced by the trail mechanism of the newest edition. You'll have to let me know if you prefer the first edition rules, or if there was a specific rule in one of the 2nd through 4th editions that you preferred playing with, or if you had some sort of mishmash of rules that you liked playing with. I know that was quite common for any game that has more than one edition, Space Hulk being a prime example. Yes, I like to play with the first edition rules, except I do use the improved Flamer rules from the 2nd edition. It's not too late to compare the elements to those old components. We'll see if we have any opportunity to do so. These are the Plague tokens. They're enormous. What do these... how... I know I just kind of sort of glazed over that section in the rulebook, but they're so big. Do they cover multiple regions? Do you have to connect them with the map elements in any way? That's crazy. They're huge. That's a lot of skulls. That's a lot of skulls and rats. Thank you, whoever put the rats in there. I appreciate you. We have our wounds tokens, presumably lots of anatomically correct. Some railway tokens, canceling out the railway trip. We have our tickets. Tickets, please. Clock, Dracula, bats, bites, hypnotic stare. This one, which seems to have a cutout in the center that we can frame something else with it. Those are always interesting to me. All of the tokens, thankfully, are double-sided, which make them highly visual, very easy to use. This hypnotic stare is actually in 3 parts. I'm so sorry for whoever I traumatized by breaking this face unexpectedly. You can also change the pieces around and make Dracula's cousin Ardulac. I am Ardulac. And these are double-sided specifically, so you can really create some crazy face combinations. That's not why that's there at all, actually. We have our heroes, our not hero, and our cards. Our character boards of the first edition have definitely been shrank down. This is Van Helsing, this is Van Helsing. Your event cards for Van Helsing would have gone here in the old game, with the combat chits going here, and they're appropriately sized spaces because the event cards were just little squares. It looks like the first edition Van Helsing boon was +1 initiative for first round of combat with Dracula, -1 initiative for first round of combat with agents. But while the spaces for the item and event cards have been modified yet maintained, we do not have these same attributes. You have 2 byte spaces. You are defeated when you would gain a 3rd byte token. Looks like the old one just had the 1 byte. Wound track is gone. Leader has been added. When you trade, you may choose to trade event cards instead of item cards with a hunter in any city. Our lore dump about Professor Abraham Van Helsing is gone. The reverse side of the hunter card is blank. The rest of our hunter cards follow suit. If you're coming from 1st to 5th edition, you're seeing the addition of 2 new hunters. We originally just had these three specifically, with Jonathan Harker and Mina Harker being added. I think one of these 2 was added earlier than the 5th edition. The 5th edition says we added a new hunter, so I'm pretty sure Mina was in 4th or perhaps earlier on, with John being the new hunter. And here is our Dracula card. Oh, I really hate how all these cards just look like it's the same person with minor tweaks. Our initiative is here in the upper left corner for the hunters, as well as the amount of wounds that they have, the wound track completely disappearing from the card, and our myriad bags of tokens and chits. All of these and these and these has been replaced with 3 decks of cards. Just 3 decks. This is our events deck. Hunter reference cards. I said 3 decks, but each deck of cards here is actually multiple. But it turns out there's a lot of stuff. Are you going to Gen Con this year? There will be limited quantities of this game available for purchase at Gen Con. I don't think there are any seats left to order to be able to play it though at Gen Con, but you can play the game at Gen Con. People are going to be playing it. Okay, these are the event cards. These are replacing these guys from the first edition. The first edition saw cards such as Devilish Power, Mishap, or Chartered Carriage, and would indicate whether or not you could keep them in your hand or had to play them immediately. It looks like the new game has kept a lot of the elements from the original event decks. We have our Chartered Carriage here. The new card format means there's plenty of room for lore text, flavor text. When the hunter attempts to catch a train, instead of rolling on the railway station chart, play this. The hunter automatically catches an express train if the hunter is in the western half of the board, or a fast train if he's in the eastern half. These rules have been completely replaced. Play before you move by railway. Spend one of your ticket tokens to move to a city up to 4 railways away. The keen-eyed of you will have noticed that there are no dice in this version of Fury of Dracula, so it stands to reason that instead of relying on dice and dice tables, you'll have to draw specific cards in order to enact strategies, and therein lies the luck portion of the game. That's besides the guesswork that you're having to do while you're trying to ascertain Dracula's location on the board. These are Dracula combat cards. There are 38 item cards. These look like handbags, or that's fun. I really like that. We've got Pistol, Heavenly Host. You're kidding me. Rifle. Pistol, Knife, Crucifix, Garlic. I don't know if anybody was looking for official connections between this game and Talisman, other than the part on the back of the box that says that this game is part of the Talisman realms. But if you were, there it is. That's literally the Talisman logo right there in the center of the crucifix. We've got the hands coming together to meet at the flame above the circle in the triangle. And then we have the lovely not even lines on the outsides of the cross at all. There it is again on the Mortar and Pestle in the Garlic card. Fast Horses makes a return, as does Holy Bullets. A lot of these items are in the first edition of the game, so they must have maintained their staying power. Our combat cards, such as Punch and Escape, are here as well. There's Dodge, We've got these icons off to the side that indicate in what circumstances these may be used. A few more cards here representing the advanced Dracula powers: Wolf Form, Misdirect, Dark Call, and Feed. 28 encounter cards. These are the cards that Dracula will place on the trail. We have Bats, Unnatural Fog, Desecrated Soil, Spy. I'm looking for references to HeroQuest at this point. We've got our Talisman links. I guess there wouldn't be any reason for a HeroQuest link. It's just wishful thinking. Actually, I'm kind of hoping that I don't find this reference. The matured effects are going to be things that enact, and you don't want them to. You don't want the cards to become matured. Rats. We have 70 location cards, 10 by sea, 60 by land, including Zurich, Whitby, Vienna, Venice, Toulouse, Santander, Nantes, Liverpool, Galway, Dublin, Cadiz, Brussels, Bari, and more. Oh, there's Hyde. Hyde is a location. Place this card face down on the trail. If the location card to the right of this space is revealed this card too. Place an encounter card on this card. The matured effect of that card cannot be resolved. Wow. So that's going to be more of a boon for the hunters then. These are the ones by sea. South Atlantic, North Atlantic, Mediterranean, and so on. Interesting addition to the game. Alright, that pretty much settles all of the replacements except for the minis. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have the first edition metal and plastic minis, and they utilize the same sculpts basically. I mean, they're different scales. They don't technically have the same sculpt. They use the same sculpt as a source though. Things get a little weird here because the back of the box and the setup section in the manual diverge on what names are applied to which sculpts, so I'm going to use the setup section to refer to these sculpts. We're going to go Van Helsing first. He's kind of our main character. I mean, I know you think Dracula is, and you might even think that Jonathan Harker is, but when Van Helsing steps into the scene, the show is stolen, it's gone, report the burglary. Metal miniatures from this time, I know they had larger versions across other Games Workshop products even. I have no idea why the ones for Fury of Dracula were so tiny, but they are tiny. These guys are maybe a little bit more sized to Dungeon Quest of the time, and they're still blue, interestingly enough to me. The newest Van Helsing, however, he is of an appropriate contemporary Avalon Hill consistent scale, complete with the same base size as HeroQuest and Talisman 5th, ready to drive a stake in Dracula's heart. He still has his bag. It's not central to his character. It's on his hip instead of in his hand. Can't get over the sculpts for the faces. They look a bit Cro-Magnon. Not really sure how to justify that for the old edition. This is Lord Godalming. He looks like the butler, and his metal miniature kind of looks like a pirate or the Joker. The details are just lost. And you might ask him, what is that you have behind your back, Lord Godalming? What do you have? And, well, 5th edition Lord Godalming is content to answer, this rifle! He's put aside his snobbiness and picked up an implement of shottiness. It's S-H-O-T-T. Never mind. I don't have a previous miniature to show off for Mina Harker, so here is Minnie Harker with her lantern and gun. She did not come unprepared. Dracula himself is here, represented in lead, which you can scrape and lick. Just kidding. But if you get that reference, you'll get 5 points. His slightly taller variant is much more scrapable, much more lickable, and there he goes. Avalon Hill 5th edition, much grander, much more dynamic, hand outstretched, face in rage. I don't see the fangs. I think you'd need some bifocals to point out any fangs, but that's okay. His cape is swooping. There is a lot of cape. I will say I kind of wish that there were more of the sort of bat cut in the hem, but that's okay. His previous pose, I don't find anything wrong with it. I kind of like this pose. I like the self-importance it has and the mysteriousness. This is very much a villain pose, product of its time. But no more. Now he's saying, get over here. I also don't have a miniature to represent John Harker. This is the Avalon Hill version of him, regardless. He's got a big knife, I'll give him that. He has knife at the ready. I guess you could also say that it's a boomerang. It's obviously a knife, but wouldn't it be fun if he had a boomerang? Look at this yee-ass haircut. Man, there's just nothing they could do to make me like this guy. Maybe I need to read the book, finally. The book called Fury of Dracula. Dr. John Seward is represented here in all his pacifist glory. He is carrying a bag of medical supplies, hand slightly outstretched instead of downward for the plastic version, but the newest version has him, where's the medical bag? It's gone. No more medicine. No more medicine. No more medical. Him have cross and him have fist. Unfortunately, perhaps tragically, while I thought it was hilarious that he would have his fist drawn back as if ready to punch Renfield and use the cross on Dracula, which, by the way, we're at our 5th edition and there still isn't any love or respect for Renfield. Where is my Renfield expansion? Avalon Hill, you had to have gotten this right. I will not stand for this Renfield disrespect. My sculpt of this character seems to be defective. He is not holding a knife, he's holding up a fist. His knife is gone, mal-sculpted. Escaped the watchful eyes of quality control this time. All in all, it looks like people who have plenty of experience playing Fury of Dracula will settle right into this edition, and they may prefer the card layouts of the trail right on the board as presented. Needing space to store this game never seems to have been an issue. It's always been in pretty decently small-sized boxes, but the new form factor matching all of the rest of Avalon Hill's current offerings, including their signature series and their HeroQuest expansions and First Light game system, means that it will go very nicely on your Avalon Hill shelf. But before I pack everything away today, I want to compare the miniatures with their Talisman Saga's counterparts. Yeah, we have several in here, but only 3 to compare. I did my own unboxing of this in a separate video. So it is pretty evident that they used the same digital file for this Mina Harker. It's the exact same character. She is just posed slightly differently, and I think that was a smart move. It's a good way to use resources, and if you get this game without its miniatures, well, you kind of already have the miniatures included with your Talisman. Or if you don't have miniatures with your Dracula, or Crown of Blood, expansion for Talisman 5th, but you have everything else, well, you have more than enough miniatures if you get Fury of Dracula to make up for that. This will be a matter of taste, but I like the Crown of Blood sculpt more than the Fury of Dracula sculpt. Another case where it's the exact same digital character, just posed differently, and I would say that they added a lot more cape. The sculpts otherwise being the exact same, and the Talisman references thus make a lot more sense. Where'd you go, Abe Broham? There you are. Ben Helsing's coat is closed. He is reading from a book for the Talisman X-Back. Book is put away, and he has his hammer and stake for the new Fury of Blood. Fury of Dracula. I'm gonna get all kinds of mixed up. Other than that, same dude, same hair, same base. So I guess I should say, confirmed, the Fury of Dracula miniatures will all Talisman Saga's Crown of Blood. You'll have to make up your own character cards for them, but I have no doubt that the more creative of Talisman players will have already done that. As far as HeroQuest goes, this is a little more predictable because the Talisman miniatures 100% HeroQuest. Not so sure about the Crown of Blood expansion, so not so sure about the Fury of Dracula miniatures. The only reason I say that is not because of scale. They seem to have the same 32mm, almost heroic scale. I could absolutely count this as heroic. Bits on the miniature are certainly exaggerated for more visual fidelity. The bases are almost the exact same size. They're maybe 1-2 millimeters bigger, and I'm not sure that I would really count that as a different size. You might find HeroQuest bases that are this size, just 1 to 2 millimeters off from other bases. No, the question that you're going to have is, aesthetically, will they fit? Now, I don't see a reason why you can't have a sort of Gothic, almost Victorian era area in your HeroQuest world. There's not one that seems to explicitly exist as of this moment. But since I crave another Gothic-themed HeroQuest expansion, sort of in the vein of Rise of the Dreadmoon, but with vampires, I could see Avalon Hill expanding the game into that territory, possibly taking a selection of these miniatures to alter in some more HeroQuest appropriate ways to include with the game. I think that would be a smart move. I think it would be a practical move. But for the time being, if you'd like for your game of HeroQuest to have flintlock pistols, then you absolutely could have these characters in your HeroQuest game. It's not just the weaponry, of course, it is the manner and style of dress, but that is something that you can shoehorn into any time period. It's fantasy, so you can decide what fits at your table. Oh look, Jonathan Harker caught a big one. And that's all in a day's work. Alright, brave heroes and hunters alike, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. You'll have to let me know stream of consciousness everything you thought about this video down below, and I will see you in the next exciting adventure. So thank you so much for your kind attention. Thank you again to Avalon Hill. And just before I go, one little bonus look at Guillotine here. Heads are going to roll. Welcome to the French Revolution. This game is hilarious, and it seems to go places that I really haven't seen an Avalon Hill game go, in that you can literally build your instrument of execution out of the cardboard components supplied. It doesn't have like a moving blade, unfortunately. That would have been really cool. But your cards will go up to the guillotine, and you can take any of these fabulous Piss Boy. I never thought I'd see a character called Piss Boy in an Avalon Hill game, but that's probably an older character, because this did have at least one previous edition. There could be multiple. The fast nobles, the ladies, the lords, the countess. Your goal is to take these people and hold them accountable, because they've did the country wrong, so they're just gonna get beheaded. You're just gonna get them right under the guillotine and get them out of here. You have lots of royalty. You've got some nobles. You got some ACAB representation. We've got the captain of the guard, the colonel, the general, the clown. I'm really sad about the clown. After you collect this noble, place him in another player's score pile. Yeah, that tracks. And your idea really is just to, not behead these guys. Innocent victim, martyr. You don't want to behead them, because they'll lose you points. Hero of the people, the wealthy priest. We don't want those. The bad nun. We really don't want those. That's certainly somebody's fetish, though. The heretic, the bishop, the archbishop, the cardinal, the rival executioner. That's fun. Executing the rival executioner. The landlord. This guy should be worth far more points than 2. Come on. The unpopular judge. Also far more points than 2. The tax collector, the mayor. I demand a recount on these point values. And then finally, the lawyer, who, for some reason, just looks like somebody from Avalon Hill. I mean, this could very well be one of the staff members who won. The art style's different and everything. Is this the Avalon Hill lawyer? Like, he's even dressed in contemporary. I need to know if this is the guy. This noble makes sure we don't get sued. Thank him for his hard work, then place him back in the box. Ah, okay. Yeah, that's amazing. He's just a bonus card. All right. I love it. Thank you, Avalon Hill lawyer. It's not just the character cards, though. You have all of your cards that you are playing in order to actually enact the scoring. Pushed, stumble, milling in line, Scarlet Pimpernel. The day ends after you finish your turn. Discard any remaining nobles in the line. The ignoble noble, the clerical error, late arrival, fled to England. Escape, not escape. He busted out of his stock, his guillotine stock. Civic pride, bribed guards, let them eat cake. That's somebody's fetish. We're gonna need the lawyer card on that one. Reign delay, civic support, idiot. Great. Rush job, political influence. What's the rush job? Oh yeah, we gotta get you in that guillotine, buddy. It's hilarious. After you first, milady. Information exchange. Forward march. Fountain of blood. Lovely. This is definitely the bloodiest game Avalon Hill has done, so that's why I kind of wanted to include it in here. I thought there'd be no better forward support. We sent you a new blade. Thought there'd be no better opportunity. Yeah, Dracula demands a lot of blood, so you could maybe somehow implement your copy of 5th edition Guillotine. I don't think this is the card game's 5th edition. I will say this does continue to go along with the apparent new mission of the company, though, because Guillotine is quite a high-priced game now. Not this one, not the newest one, but the older edition. It's secondhand, it's up there for what it is, which is just a card game, essentially. I can think of no better company to grab these licenses for these older games and design components for them, so long as they hold true to that aforementioned commitment. I expect great adherence to this commitment. I would like to see it in everything. But that is finally the end of our journey here, our bloody, bloody journey on this bloody, bloody Sunday. It's not Sunday, it's Friday. Thank you again for your kind attention, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you, Avalon Hill, for sending me Guillotine, for sending me Fury of Dracula, and for sending me your thoughts and prayers, as I will not be making it to Gen Con this year to be playing with you all. See you in the next one, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye for now.